Phillies are 2008 World Champions of Baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim, Chet, Chesko.
Hey, welcome. Philly Pressbox Radio, live from the Irish Rover Station House, Bellevue Avenue, Langhorne, PA. If you are out and about looking for some lunch, looking for some good company, cold drinks, we are happy to be here. Philly Pressbox Radio celebrating our 400th show right here with the Irish Rover. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. My partner, Jim Chesko, is here. We have Edge of Philly Live, Zaffiri, going to run the controls for us today. We have his partner from Edge of Philly, Joey Sheeran, also here with us tonight. And we're excited about being here. We hope everybody enjoys a little time talking Philly sports.
This is our third time here. We were here in both 2018 and 2019. And then, of course, that little pandemic hit the following year. So things kind of went into the toilet for a while for a lot of people. Things had to close down, and things just weren't the same for quite a while. But everything is back up and running now, and we are so happy to be here and see a lot of smiling faces and happy Phillies fans. There's even a Cowboys fan here, a Packers fan here.
Glad you're here. Glad Al's here. Joey, we're going to get this thing going on. We're going to talk about some Phillies, Chet.
Yeah.
We're going to hit them all today, but we're going to start out with the Phillies actually playing pretty good ball. Still now back to a half a game out of that wild card spot. What's your thoughts on the Phils?
I like where they are right now. Half game out of a wild card spot. Granted, it's an additional wild card team this year, but hey, we'll take it. Playing some pretty good ball other than that little 4-game skid recently. The schedule is favorable after the All-Star break. No more trips to Canada, so that's a good thing. I like the fact that they have games against the Cubs coming up, against the Pirates coming up, a lot of games still against the Nationals, a few against the Braves mixed in there, which is always difficult. Don't forget, we have Phillies Braves tickets to give away later for a week from tomorrow. So we'll be doing that in about an hour. But, yeah, I like what's happening with the Phillies right now. They are, I think, positioned well for the postseason. And, the key thing will be getting Bryce Harper and Gene Segura back, hopefully, in late August.
Yeah, I think, the early schedule when they had a lot of Mets and Dodgers and other teams that were playing really good ball, they didn't have a lot of Braves. Who are playing really good ball. But the second half, there's going to be a lot of Braves on the schedule, less Mets. They're going to have their hands full with the Braves to gain ground, but they got to keep that wild card spot in view.
Yeah, I don't think they're ever going to catch the Mets. I mean, the Mets sometimes will fall apart, but their pitching staff is just too good right now. So I think the Mets are pretty much locked into that top spot. You never know with the Braves. I mean, the Braves are the defending champions, but they don't scare me quite as much. Keep in mind, while the Phillies are a half game behind the Cardinals, they're still only a half game ahead of the Giants in that wild card race, too. So it's certainly not a lock by any stretch of the imagination. But as I said, I like where they stand right now, where they're positioned. I like the pitching staff, believe it or not. I think the starting pitching's been reasonably good this year. Other than, the injuries to Eflin, more recently Suarez, but he came back yesterday. All in all, I think I'm happy with this team where it is right now.
Well, I think the thing that's really surprised me over the last, call it 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks, is the bullpen has actually been adequate or above adequate. They've had a couple bad outings, but they're certainly getting better. Dominguez looks like he's settling into that closer role. We'll see if that continues. I think the bullpen possibly gives them a trade piece or two. There might be an extra one out there that maybe they can use down the stretch at the trade deadline.
Yeah, I would love to see them add somebody that could help, whether it be another starter, bullpen guy, or a center fielder, which has been kind of a bugaboo all year for them. They haven't had anybody consistently out in center all year. So I'm hoping Dombrowski does something and helps improve the team between now and August 2nd.
Wouldn't you say certainly Byers at the moment
No, definitely a buyer, yeah.
Yeah, I think they think they're going to be in the hunt. Zach Wheeler needs to be an all-star in my mind. Absolutely.
Struggled the last time out, unfortunately,
Yeah.
but no, he's had a very good first half and certainly one of the top 10 starting pitchers in the league. So I think I said this on the show. While it's a shame he's not an all-star, it's maybe better in the long run that he doesn't have to make the trip to Los Angeles. He can rest up for a few days and get back out there Friday night.
Yeah. Well, we're looking forward to that. Hey, speaking of Zach Wheeler, our buddies over there at Carl's Cards in Havertown will be having Zach Wheeler doing an autograph signing on August the 21st. So anybody that wants to go over and obtain a Zach Wheeler autograph, there's a perfect opportunity to get a should-be all-star.
Yeah, that's going to be a big night for Carl and company. We love Carl and his crew at Carl's Cards, and getting Zach Wheeler is really a nice get for them, and I'm sure that's going to be a very popular and fun event.
Absolutely. Havertown, PA, Carl's Cards and Collectibles. Hey, Chet, biggest disappointments for you so far for the Phils in 2022? Anybody and anybody that's really stood out and played really well?
Well, the biggest disappointment, obviously, is the new right fielder, the guy who wasn't supposed to be the right fielder because Bryce Harper was going to be out there all the time, but he is the right fielder now. Not a great fielder, and he's really struggled at the plate, and that is that Nick Castellanos. He's just really not giving you what we expected from him with that big contract. He's hitting 250 or whatever, which is not terrible, but he's only got, 8 home runs, and we certainly expected, 25, 30 out of him this year. So he is far and away, for me, the biggest disappointment, Castellanos. As far as the most pleasant surprise, Alec Boehm, absolutely. He had that 3-error game early on, but since then, he's been very solid in the field, and he's hitting well. So, Castellanos, the disappointment. Alec Boehm, the biggest pleasant surprise.
Well, with Castellanos, you sound like one of those Philly pile-on fans. It's pile-on Castellanos.
I watch the games, Bill.
You know what I mean? But, see, if you watch the games, then Alec Boehm would not have been in question to start with.
How so?
Because he's always been good. I told you.
He has not always been good. Did you watch last season?
Well, yeah.
He got sent to the minors because he wasn't good.
Yeah, that was pile-on. What about the 330 rookie year?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
Oh, well.
He's been inconsistent, but no, he's like I said, been doing a great job this year, and I like him, especially when he had that 3-error game, screwed up, said something that he shouldn't have said. He owned up to it, and we loved him. We forgave him for it. So, yeah, kudos to Alec Boehm.
All right. No Odubel, Mickey Moniak. You're not piling on them guys, too?
I was never a huge Odubel fan, and Mickey Moniak, he had the great spring, but he's never done anything in the big leagues. So, sorry, Mickey.
So, the Phillies, as we started out this discussion, a half game out of the wild card, do you see them making this wild card? And can they win a round?
Well, I think they are going to make the playoffs. I think they will get one of the wild card spots. Can they win around? That's a whole other issue because they're going to play that first series all on the road as a wild card team. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's the best. Is it best out of 5 or is it best out of 3? I think it's best out of 3. John,
3.
you know? It is best out of 5.
5,
okay.
right.
So the odds are against you as a wild card team, but I do think they will be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I do too.
All right.
But I think I like Nola Wheeler as 1 and 2 against anybody. Then if they can pull out a game 3, I think they have a chance to win a round in a best of 5 series.
Well, the thing is, they probably won't have that wild card spot clinched until the very last couple of days of the season, and they may need Wheeler and Nola over the last couple of games of that final weekend of the season. So they may not get to use Wheeler and Nola at the start of the series, which of course would be a major negative. So hopefully they'll clinch a wild card by, say, September 25th and can rejigger their schedule. So who knows?
Chet, there's something you said earlier about Kyle Schwarber.
Yeah.
And he's not your typical leadoff guy. This isn't the first place that he was a leadoff guy. He in the Nationals, the Bo Sox. He's been a leadoff guy in others.
He's not your typical.
He's not your typical. Right. I agree.
Not like Jimmy Rollins, Ricky Henderson.
Right, but
type.
it's not like the Phillies stepped out of the box, getting him in here as your leadoff when he's
done. All your leadoff hitters hit 210.
Yeah.
Well, everybody says, is he an all-star? You asked that, Bill, and I said, if Don Brown can be an all-star for a good 6 weeks,
true,
then Kyle Schwarber can be an all-star. That's how I look at it.
Well, you certainly can't take away the last 3 or 4 weeks that he's had.
Well, you can honestly
he was
say
hitting
that
190 for a long time.
True.
He has carried this team, and if it wasn't for Kyle Schwarber, there's a good chance we would not be talking postseason at this point. And it looks like the Phillies are on the board finally after a double from Alec Boehm. So,
who had a single earlier?
Yeah. So, I mean, thank God it looks like the dislocated finger, and thank God that's what it was, because it didn't seem like that when it first happened. Did not hinder him too much. He picked it up right where he left off.
Yeah, that looked bad when he slid into second base head first.
All right, guys. Now let me ask you a couple questions while we wait for people to fill out. With the Phillies currently, and we got to look a little bit into the future past this season a little bit. I mean, we are very heavy at one area, say like first base, second base, and very light at certain areas like center field. Take Alec Boehm, for instance, the guy who's been hitting well. And in the beginning of the season, people were clamoring from he's hitting hot now. Trade him. Do you feel comfortable going forward as Alec Boehm as your third baseman if the hitting continues and maybe a slight improvement in the defense?
I do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not trading Alec Boehm. I'd trade Rhys Hoskins before I trade Alec Boehm.
Do you move Alec to first and get yourself a third baseman?
Well, I think we need to see how this plays out with the new youngster they brought up that's hitting the ball and driving in runs, batting in the 4-hole. Let's give him some at-bats, and let's see if he can continue to do what he's doing.
Oh, then that brings me to my next question then. Segue here. So let's see Gene Segura maybe comes back by the end of this month, early next month, and we see Bryce Harper coming back before the end of August or before the beginning of September. Who's moving? Who do you move and where do you put them? Like where does your lineup look if everybody continues at where they're at?
It's going to be whoever's swinging the hot bat. If Hall can't continue, he's going to be probably the first to go. But if he's swinging, he's going to play.
Do they send Hall back down to keep him hit? Like even if he's hitting well, still at that point, do you keep him on the bench where he hits less, or do you send him down to the minors and let him keep hitting?
I'm wondering if he's maybe just a flash in the pan.
You won't know until
you don't know. No, you don't know yet, but we'll see. But man, I would love to get Castellanos out of right field and just have him DH so he could focus on his hitting, because he is not the greatest outfielder. He's slow. He doesn't get to a lot of balls out in right field. So I would rather have
that's
Bryce
next year.
there.
You're not seeing that until next year.
I mean, if Bryce comes back and his other issue has resolved itself by then.
Well, I have a feeling he's surgery no matter what.
Yeah.
I would like to see the pedestrian. I say that for PJ because he's probably listening.
PJ.
The pedestrian Rhys Hoskins, I'd like to see stop walking back to the dugout with a strikeout. He's hitting about 250-ish, and that's hot for him. He's going to end up, if he ends up hitting 235, he better hit a lot of home runs. I'm not a huge Rhys Hoskins fan anymore.
Well, that goes all right. So
that's why I give Hall every at bat I could give him, see if he can play.
Sure. Well, that goes back to like looking at guys. Take Kyle Schwarber, who's batting 210, 215, but he's also putting up 30. I think he's on 29, going on 30 with his next one. I mean, he's trending towards 50-plus home runs for the year. I mean, is it because of the change in baseball that ERA is not batting average is not as important as it used to be? Or it's kind of like a win-loss is for a pitcher? Is it something that you can look past a little bit if the RBIs and the home run production is up?
Yeah, probably as much as an old dinosaur like me doesn't like that.
I know. I agree. I'm 39 years old. I still don't like it, but it is what it is.
Well, they've changed the way they teach these kids how to hit, and striking out 160 times is okay. It's still just one out, and that's the philosophy now. Everybody's up there uppercut and long ball swinging. It's not hit the ball hard up the middle and then good things will happen for you. They don't do that anymore. They don't teach that. So batting averages are down, home runs are up.
So it's funny because a writer for us who also works with another group, Rock Hoffman, who gets to watch batting practice.
There's another run for the Phils.
Scored another one, 2-0. So he's there watching batting practice. He's actually talking to the players afterwards, and they're saying that you're watching the ball. Now I understand it's batting practice, so things are a little different, but they're not using the humidor on the balls in batting practice like they are for the balls in the game. I mean, is it just this thing that baseball's trying to do to change the game, to make the ball more controllable, that's causing this uproar, this change in batting averages, this change in streaks?
I don't think so. I think I'll go back. I'll say it was 3 or 4 years ago when Mike Schmidt was doing the broadcast, and I don't remember if it was with Matt Stairs or John Kruk, one or the other. I want to think it was when Matt Stairs was doing the game. And they were having a conversation on hitting, and Schmidt said that, he tried as a manager down there in Clearwater for a little while and said, I can't coach, I can't manage, I can't coach because they don't teach it the way I learned it anymore.
Yeah.
The whole hitting philosophy has changed, and Mike Schmidt, believe it or not, is not that old. Hasn't been gone. At least doesn't seem like he's been gone that long. But they've changed the game to the point that I don't think it's anything to do with the balls and the mound it's just the philosophy of hitting. You see a Bryce Harper take a pre-swing and it's a thing up in the air. That's how they're taught to hit the ball these days, and I think that's the big difference.
I need that final sheet turned in.
And also the other thing is
trivia guy.
I heard for the young guys, they're getting a lot of, it's also a problem for them because guys who go down in the fall leagues, they play in the Dominican tournaments and all that kind of stuff, that they're being taught differently. And they say the balls fly differently. Everything's different down there. Then they come here and everything in the major leagues and even minors, but the majors, it's even different there because they're not even using humidors in the minors. So it's like you hear about a guy who's batting, like Derek Hall, who's knocking the cover off the ball. Then they come up to the majors and it's just hitting differently. And you could see it. The ball literally dies going out like there's an invisible force field that it hits in the middle of it. Everything just falls. So I feel baseball has tried to change itself to be more interesting. And in the long run, they've hurt themselves. They've tried to change things too much. They've gone too far left or too far right. And you're actually hurting the base, not just for the people you're trying, like the casual baseball fan, but you're hurting it more for the guys like us who watch almost 162 games a year.
Well, I think the other thing that's changed the game so much is the relief pitching. They tried to modify that rule, but 5, 6, 7 pitchers every night, lefty, righty, get a guy out. Like I say, they tried to extend that a little bit, but it's much harder to hit when you're seeing 5 guys a night than it is, 1 or 2.
Sure.
So I think that's changed the game, and for me, not for the better.
Is that going? Is it going? Girl.
And it is gone.
All right.
Out of here.
Who was that? Was that Munoz?
Munoz, yeah.
Munoz.
All right. And from everywhere. And that's what makes this team win. That is when production comes up and down the lineup. I mean, of course, you would hope when Harper was there and Segura was there, you're getting most of it from there. Then Kyle Schwarber starts. The dream was Kyle Schwarber and all them would just be adding. They would get it from everywhere. But now you're getting it from Alec Boehm. And then I have to give a guy who's kind of been an unsung hero over the last couple of weeks, Bryson Stott. A lot of people were off his train pretty quickly, but he's been producing and winning some games for this team. So I like what I see from the Phillies. I like, even the fact that they won a couple games, 1-0, 2-1, because this team is not built to win that way. Even when you have your Wheelers and your Nolas pitching.
Yeah, and that was one thing I was going to mention earlier, and it slipped my mind. I'm glad you brought it up because the one thing I really do like about this team at this point is they battle every night. Mm-hmm. They get behind early sometimes, and they feel like they can score more runs than the other team and work them out and do that. I like that about this team. They don't fold up many nights they play on through. And
they had that little recent stint where over 6 games they scored 12 runs, and that's why they lost 4 of them. They even won a couple of them by scoring 1 or 2 runs, which is rare. But this is more of what we're used to seeing. A 10-0 win yesterday. They're up 4-0 already today. This is what we signed up for when we got the Schwarbers and the Castellanos guys back in the winter. So we talked about it. I like this team. I think they are going to make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to go anywhere, but we haven't had postseason baseball since 2011, so it'll be a nice change.
Well, what you guys said earlier is, and I'm going to say, they make a wild card spot. I'd be a team very afraid to see this. If you're going to have to go Nola, Wheeler, Nola, whatever it is, in a 5-game series, that's tough to hit against, no matter how good you are. But I would hate to be the team that has to go against the last wild card spot with the Phillies up. If everything continues the way it is.
I think one thing that is often forgotten is number one, when Bryce goes down, everybody is wondering if they're going to be able to continue winning, and obviously they have been. But if you look at the roster, the daily roster, more than 50% of it is from our farm club. Like we have the youth up here playing, and they are still consistently winning.
Yeah,
and that's something that is overlooked.
Yeah, and Kevin Stocker talked about that with us last week. We had him on there, and he said the youth brings the energy.
Absolutely.
And Rob Thompson's getting the credit for that, but he's brought the youth out of them.
I'm 100% with you, Bill. Sign him now.
Yeah.
Sign Thompson now.
Yeah, Joe Girardi didn't seem to have the confidence in the youth, or wasn't getting
That's
the
one of the reasons why he was
out.
outed. Yeah.
And Kevin Stocker spoke of that, and he was right on.
I'm almost positive that Thompson will be back, but again, I don't see the urgency. I would wait till mid-August to make the official announcement that he's coming back as the permanent guy.
I agree with Chet too on that. I mean, what do you have to lose? He's not going to take another job between now and the end of the season. Let's see what happens. That's like you called Derek Hall possibly a flash in the pan. I mean, I don't think Rob Thomson is a flash in the pan, but let's let this play out. Then you offer him. The guy has never.
Who was saying that Derek Hall is a flash in the pan? Chet?
I said he might be. I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying, maybe he will be. Who knows?
Won't know. I mean,
can't we give these guys
look at Dominic
credit?
Brown? We mentioned Dominic Brown earlier. Things happen,
Typical Philly fan.
Typical Philly fan. That's right.
I'm a little jaded, okay? It's been a rough 10 years.
No, but I'm saying with Rob, I love him, and I love the job he's been doing. And if they signed him today, I'm not going to even blink an eye at it. But my point is, there's no reason at this point to do it. Let's see if he can continue. Let's see where adversity comes in. You have these nice tickets sitting here coming up against a very big opponent in the division, being the Atlanta Braves. Let's see how they do. I mean, this weekend's a great point here. I said this before we went on the air. It's pretty weird to have to say these words, but it would be really nice if the Phillies sweep the Marlins, because they don't do that often.
Yeah.
For how bad the Marlins have been over the years, they haven't been able to do that. They've always seemed to struggle, but they went up against one of the best pitchers in baseball on Friday night, survived, won that 2-1. Yesterday put on a hitting clinic, won 10-0 against a guy coming up from their minor league system that was supposed to be a really great pitcher. Took him to task.
And they struggled with a lot of those guys in the past, so that was great to see.
When the Phillies either go up against a new guy from the minors or somebody who's been struggling, the Phillies struggle.
Yeah.
They did that during the Toronto series. There was the second pitcher, I forgot his name. They said, "Oh, he's not what he should have been." The guy's ERA is like 7 or like 4 something. He's been getting hit up left and right, and we made him. He put up like 7 strikeouts on the Phillies. It always seems to happen that way.
You know what the difference is going to be between signing him now and waiting to the end of the season? First off, they're not going to go after Joel Madden. Like there's nobody else out there that they're going to look at other than just signing Thompson. He's going to be a lot cheaper now than in October after they win the World Series. All right, they're trying to save some money here. Sign him to a long-term deal and get him on the cheap.